The night was colder than anything the alien mother had ever felt in her life. The wind cut like a knife, fast and sharp. Snow kept falling from the dark sky, covering everything in white. The mother held her small child close to her chest, trying to keep him warm. Her arms were shaking, her breath was slow, and her eyes were full of fear. The child's skin was turning pale blue, and his lips were losing color. He was going into hypothermia. And she knew it. She tried to whisper to him, "Stay awake, little one. Please stay awake." But the child could barely open his eyes. His tiny fingers were cold and stiff. He pressed his face against her chest, trying to find heat. But even she had very little warmth left. They had been walking for hours, maybe more. She couldn't remember anymore. The storm had started suddenly. A violent windstorm that pushed them far from their shelter. She had lost her direction. She had lost her strength. But she had not lost her love for her child. That was the only thing still giving her the power to move. She looked around, trying to find help, far away. She saw a faint orange light, like a small fire in the distance. But the snow was too thick. Her eyes were blurry. She couldn't tell if it was real, or only her mind trying to give her hope. Her legs were weak. Every step felt like lifting a mountain. Sometimes she almost fell, but she held her child tighter and kept going. The child's breathing became slower. Every breath sounded like a soft cry. He whispered, "Mama, cold." Those two words broke her heart. She sat down on the snow for a moment. Not because she wanted to, but because her body gave up. Her knees touched the icy ground, and she felt a shock of cold shoot up her legs. She knew they didn't have much time. The storm was stronger now. Snow was hitting her face like small stones. The wind was screaming in her ears. Her vision was fading. She looked at her child again and saw the terror in his eyes. He was scared. He didn't understand what was happening. He was only trying to hold on, trying to stay alive. The mother pulled him close and used the last pieces of her coat to wrap him tighter. She covered his head, his arms, his legs. She put her body around him to block the wind. Her own skin was freezing, but she didn't care. Her child mattered more than anything. She whispered again, "Don't sleep, my love. Please don't sleep." But the child couldn't answer. His eyes slowly closed. His breathing became soft. Too soft, like it was fading, disappearing. The mother panicked. She shook him gently. "Please, stay with me." She cried. Her voice was weak, breaking. Tears froze on her cheeks. She tried to stand again. She tried to walk. But her legs didn't move. The cold had taken them. The only thing she could move were her arms, and she used them to keep her child close. The faint orange light in the distance flickered again. Maybe it was real. Maybe someone was out there. Maybe someone could save her child. She wanted to scream for help, but no sound left her mouth. Her voice was gone, frozen like the rest of her. Her body began to shut down. She knew it. She felt it. But she refused to let go of the child. If death was coming, she wanted to face it, protecting him. Her vision became darker. She heard sounds, footsteps maybe. Or maybe it was only her heart slowing down. She thought she saw a shape through the snow. A tall figure moving toward her, but she couldn't be sure. She pressed her child one last time to her chest. Her arms wrapped around him with all the love she had left. Her final thought was simple. Someone, please, help him. Even if I don't survive. Then the world turned black. The snow kept falling. The wind kept howling. The mother's body stopped moving. And the child lay quietly in her arms, not dead yet, but slipping closer with every passing second. And just before everything went silent, soft footsteps approached them in the snow. Slow, heavy, human footsteps. The alien mother woke up with a sudden breath. Warm air touched her face. A soft blanket covered her body. And for a moment, she did not understand where she was. Her eyes blinked again and again. The room around her was strange, nothing like her world. There was a fireplace with orange flames dancing inside. There were wooden walls, warm lights, and human tools scattered everywhere. She tried to sit up, but the moment she lifted her head, pain shot through her body. Her arms felt heavy, her legs felt weak. Her skin was warm now but still sore from the cold. Her heart started beating fast. Not because of the cold, but because she remembered something. Her child, her eyes opened wide, panic rushing through her chest. She grabbed the blanket and tried to stand. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "My child. Where is my child?" Her breathing became fast. Fear returned stronger than before. The last thing she remembered was snow, darkness, and holding him tightly in her arms. Before she could move again, a door opened. A man stepped inside. A tall human with a tired face, messy beard, and eyes that looked both strong and gentle at the same time. He froze for a moment when he saw her awake. Then he slowly raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "You're safe," he said softly. His voice was calm, warm, steady. "Please don't get up. You're still hurt." But the mother didn't listen. "Where is my child?" she asked again, her voice shaky but louder now. Tears filled her eyes. Her panic grew. If her child wasn't near her, then maybe. The man stepped closer and pointed toward a smaller room on the left. "He's there," the man said. "He's alive. He's breathing. But he's still very weak." The mother felt her legs wanting to run to him, but her body didn't have enough strength yet. The man noticed her struggling and quickly moved to support her. "Wait, don't push yourself too hard," he said. "If you fall again, you'll make your injuries worse." She didn't trust him. Not yet. She looked into his eyes, searching for lies, searching for danger, but she saw none. Only tiredness and worry. "Let me help you walk to him," he said. His voice had no force, no pressure, only kindness. Slowly, she allowed him to place a hand under her arm. He guided her carefully toward the small room. Inside, a soft lamp glowed beside a bed, and on that bed, wrapped in thick blankets, was her child. His skin looked less pale now. His chest rose and fell gently. He was alive. The mother dropped to her knees beside him. Her tears fell freely as she touched his face, warm. He was warm. She whispered his name again and again. Her hands shaking, the child did not wake, but he moved slightly when she touched him. That tiny movement was enough to fill her heart with hope. Behind her, the man stepped back to give her space. He watched quietly, his expression serious and soft at the same time. After a moment, the mother turned to him. "You saved him," she whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. "A stranger. A human. He saved her child when even she could not." The man shook his head. "No," he said. "You saved him. You kept him alive long enough for me to find you." His voice cracked slightly, like he was remembering something painful. The mother noticed it, but she didn't ask. "Not yet. Who are you?" she asked quietly. Her eyes stayed on her child, but her mind needed answers. The man thought for a moment before answering. "My name is Daniel," he said. "I live alone out here, far from any town." He paused. "As for why I was out in the storm, maybe I was lucky. Maybe you were." His words felt strange, too simple for the effort he made to save them. "Why did you help us?" she asked, her voice still weak but now full of emotion. Daniel looked away. He stared at the floor like he was hiding the truth. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "I lost my family. Long ago, in a storm like the one you survived." His voice was low, heavy with old pain. "I couldn't save them, but I couldn't let another child die the same way." The mother felt her heart tighten. She looked at him differently now. This man was not just a stranger. He was broken inside, yet still saving others. A long silence filled the room. Only the child's soft breathing could be heard. Finally, Daniel spoke again. "He needs more treatment," he said gently. "And so do you. You are both still in danger." "Danger?" The mother looked up sharply. Daniel nodded slowly. Yes. The storm was only the beginning, he said. There's something else out there. Something coming. The mother froze. Her fear returned. Her child was weak. She was weak. And now there was a new threat. Daniel stepped closer and whispered, "But I won't let anything harm you." The small room was quiet. Only the soft sound of the child's breathing filled the space. The alien mother sat beside him, her hand resting over his tiny fingers. For the first time since the storm, she felt a little hope, but that hope did not last long. The child suddenly shivered under the blankets. His breath became uneven. His body shook like he was trapped between hot and cold at the same time. The mother leaned close in fear. "Little one, what is happening?" she whispered. Daniel rushed into the room the moment he heard her voice. He placed his hand gently on the child's forehead, and his expression changed instantly. He looked worried, very worried. "He's burning up," Daniel said. "But his body is still freezing on the inside." "It's a dangerous mix." The mother stared at him, confused and scared. "What does that mean?" Daniel took a deep breath. "It means his body is fighting two things at once," he explained. "The cold damaged him, but now his body is trying too fast to warm itself up." The child suddenly coughed hard. The sound was sharp, painful. The mother gasped and held him close. But Daniel quickly raised a hand, stopping her. "Don't move him too much," he warned. "He's in a fragile state." The mother felt helpless. Her hands shook as she looked at the man. "You said he was safe. You said he would be okay." Daniel lowered his head. "I said I would try," he answered quietly, "and I will. I'm not giving up on him." He ran to a shelf, grabbing bottles, cloth, a small machine. Strange human tools. He worked fast. The mother watched every move he made. Her heart raced with fear and hope mixed together. Daniel placed a small heater near the child and adjusted its settings. He checked the child's pulse, his breathing, then he looked at the mother. "He needs something stronger," Daniel said. "I have some human medicine that might help, but it wasn't made for your species." The mother froze, her breath caught in her chest. "What if it hurts him?" she whispered. Daniel looked straight into her eyes. "If we don't try, he will get worse," he said honestly. "He's fighting, but his body is losing strength." The room felt colder. The mother looked at her child. His chest moved up and down slowly, too slowly. Every breath felt like it might be the last. She closed her eyes tightly. She remembered the storm, the snow, the darkness. She remembered the moment she thought she lost him. She had almost given up. She almost died with him in her arms, finally. She opened her eyes and whispered, "Do it. Give him whatever he needs." Daniel nodded and prepared the medicine. His hands moved carefully. He injected a small dose into the child's arm. The mother held her breath the entire time. She felt her heart beating louder than the wind outside. After a moment, the child's shaky breathing steadied. Only slightly, but enough to give hope. Daniel let out a small breath. "He responded," he said softly. "But we need to watch him continuously." Hours passed slowly. The mother sat at the child's side, never moving. Daniel checked the boy again and again. He changed the heaters, adjusted blankets, wiped the child's forehead. Not once did he complain or rest. The mother watched him closely. Why was this human working so hard? She didn't understand it, but she could feel something in him, a deep sadness hiding behind his calm actions. Finally she whispered, "You said you lost your family." "In a storm." Daniel stopped for a moment. His hand froze over the heater switch. He took a slow breath. "Yes," he said quietly. "They were trapped, and I couldn't reach them in time." A silence filled the room, heavy, painful, real. The mother looked down at her child, then whispered, "And now you're trying to save mine." "Why?" Daniel sat down slowly. He looked tired, but there was a soft fire in his eyes. "Because," he said, When I saw you holding him in the snow, you looked like me, like someone who would do anything to save the ones you love." The mother felt a sting in her chest. She didn't reply. But she understood him a little now, suddenly. The child's breathing changed again. Sharp, fast, weak. The mother jumped. Daniel rushed beside her. "He's not stable yet," Daniel said. "He's fighting. But the cold damage is deeper than I thought." He stood up quickly. "I need to set up a stronger heating chamber. It's the only chance he has right now." The mother's heart filled with fear again. "How much time do we have?" Daniel looked at her without hiding the truth. "Not much," he said. "We have to act now." He left the room to gather equipment. Leaving the mother alone with her child, she held his tiny hand gently and whispered through shaking lips, "Please, don't leave me. Stay with me." In the other room, Daniel prepared tools with intense focus. Every second counted. Every sound of the storm outside felt like a warning. The fight for the child's life had only begun. The night grew quieter. But inside the small human house, tension kept rising. Daniel moved quickly from one corner to another, preparing the heating chamber. Metal parts clicked, old wires sparked. Machines hummed softly. The mother watched him while sitting beside her child. Every sound he made filled her chest with a mix of hope and fear. Her child slept weakly, his breath slow but still there. Every rise of his chest felt like a gift. Every pause felt like a knife in her heart as Daniel worked. The mother noticed something she hadn't seen earlier. When he lifted a heavy box, his sleeve slipped back. There were scars on his arm, long deep scars, old burns, scratches, marks of battle she didn't understand, but he didn't slow down. He kept working like a soldier preparing for war. The mother's eyes followed him, confused and cautious. There was more to this man, much more. When the machine was finally ready, Daniel walked toward her slowly. "We must move him," he said. "Just a few steps. I'll help you." His voice was calm but firm. Together, they lifted the child gently and placed him inside the chamber. A soft, warm light wrapped around the child's body. The machine hummed like a heartbeat. Daniel adjusted settings with careful hands. "He should get warmer now," Daniel whispered, "if this works. His energy will return." The mother nodded, but something still bothered her. She looked around the room once again, this time more deeply. There were strange objects everywhere. A broken rescue drone on the shelf, a metal badge with old symbols, a worn-out jacket with human military marks, a photograph half-burned, showing Daniel standing with a woman and a little girl both smiling. That picture made her heart tighten. She didn't want to ask. But the truth was already forming in her mind. This man wasn't just someone who lived alone. He had lived another life before this one, a painful one. "Daniel." She whispered softly. He didn't look up. He was checking the child's temperature. She tried again. "Daniel. Who are you, really?" He finally froze. His hand stopped moving. He closed his eyes for a moment, then slowly looked at her. "I told you. I used to help people," he said, "but I didn't tell you everything." He stood up, walked to the shelf, and held the half-burned photograph in his hands. His fingers trembled slightly. "She was my wife," he said quietly, "and the little girl. My daughter." The mother felt pain in her heart. She lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Daniel shook his head gently. "You don't have to be," he said. "It happened years ago. During a winter rescue mission." He took a slow breath. "I couldn't reach them in time. The storm was too strong. The cold took them before I did." His voice broke halfway. But he did not cry. The tears had already been spent years ago. Only the scars remained now. The mother finally understood. This man was not helping them out of duty. He was helping them because saving her child was his way of fighting the storm again. His way of saving the family he once lost. Daniel placed the photograph back on the shelf and returned to the chamber. He checked the child's pulse again. The boy's breathing was smoother now. A little stronger. The heating chamber was working. But Daniel didn't smile, not yet. He still looked worried. The mother noticed it instantly. "What is wrong now?" she asked, her voice tight with fear. Daniel hesitated. "There is something more," he said quietly. "Something I didn't want to tell you earlier." Her heart dropped. "What is it?" Daniel pointed toward the window. Snowflakes danced outside like white ghosts. The storm outside. "It wasn't natural," he said. "It started too fast, too suddenly. It behaved like something was forcing it." The mother frowned. "I don't understand." Daniel continued. "There have been signals. Strange readings. Energy spikes on the mountain. I think something is out there. Something dangerous." The mother felt a chill, not from the cold, but from fear. If something is coming, what does it want? Daniel's jaw tightened. "I don't know," he said. "But I know this: if it caused the storm that almost killed you, it won't stop now." Silence fell between them. Only the machine's soft humming filled the room. The mother looked at her child, then at Daniel. She understood something clearly now, whether she liked it or not. Her child's survival depended on this human, and this human was fighting more than nature. "Daniel," she whispered, "we are strangers. But if danger is coming, you don't have to face it alone." Daniel looked at her, surprised for the first time. His tired eyes softened. He nodded slowly. "Then we protect him together," he said. "And whatever is out there, we face it as one." The mother placed her hand on the chamber. Her child slept peacefully inside, not knowing a storm far greater than snow was waiting outside. The real danger was coming, and none of them were ready for it yet. The next morning arrived without sunlight. Thick clouds covered the sky. The wind outside howled like a wild animal searching for prey. Daniel stood near the window, watching the moving snow. His face looked tight, serious, almost worried. The mother sat beside the heating chamber. Her child slept inside it, breathing softly, warmer now, safer now, but still very weak. She gently touched the glass. Her heart refused to relax, even for a moment. Daniel finally spoke. "The readings are getting stronger," he said. "And the storm, it's building again." The mother turned to him with tired eyes. "What does that mean?" she asked. Daniel didn't sugarcoat it. "It means we don't have much time." Suddenly, a loud sound struck the house. Boom. The walls shook. The mother jumped in fear. Daniel grabbed the table to stay steady. "What was that?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Daniel rushed outside. Cold wind hit him instantly. Snow blew into his face. He narrowed his eyes and saw something terrifying. The heating pipes attached to the outside wall were cracking from the extreme cold. He ran back inside, shutting the door quickly. "The storm is dropping temperature too fast," he said. "This house won't stay warm for long." The mother's heart dropped. Her child needed heat to survive. If the house lost warmth, he wouldn't make it. Daniel moved to the heater again. Checking wires and pipes, he pressed buttons, adjusted knobs, tried everything he could, but the machine made strange noises, struggling. It was losing power. No, not now. Daniel whispered to himself. Sweat formed on his forehead, even in the cold room. The mother felt panic rising inside her chest. "Daniel, what do we do?" He took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "There's an emergency bunker 2 kilometers from here," he said. "It has industrial heaters strong enough to keep him alive." The mother felt a sudden wave of fear. 2 kilometers. In this storm? Daniel nodded slowly. "It's our only chance." The mother stood up, her legs still weak. "We will go," she said firmly. Her voice was soft but strong. She didn't care if the storm was deadly. Her child mattered more than her life. Daniel hesitated. "You're still recovering." "I don't care," she cut him off. "I'm going with my child." Daniel looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "All right, he said softly. We go together. He packed quickly, thermal blankets, emergency lights, oxygen masks, food packs. He wrapped the child in layers of warm cloth, then carefully lifted him from the heating chamber. The child whimpered softly, barely awake. Barely conscious, but alive, Daniel handed the mother a thick coat he had repaired from human and alien fabric. Wear this, he said. It's heavy but warm. She put it on. The coat swallowed her small frame, but she didn't complain. As Daniel prepared the final equipment, the wind outside grew louder. Snow slammed against the windows. The house shook again. The storm was growing stronger fast. Daniel opened the door. A blast of icy wind hit them like a wall. The mother covered the child in her arms. Daniel stepped outside first. Pushing against the storm, "Stay close behind me," he shouted over the wind. He placed one hand on the mother's shoulder to guide her. The snow was knee-deep and rising. Their footsteps disappeared within seconds. Every step felt like walking through cement. The cold bit their faces. Their bodies felt heavier with every breath. Daniel used a handheld scanner to guide the way. A small blue light blinked, showing the direction. "Keep moving." Daniel shouted, "If we stop, the cold will win." The mother kept her eyes on the child's face. His small body pressed against her chest. He was so light now. "Too light," she whispered softly to him. "Stay with me. Please." Halfway to the bunker, the wind grew even stronger. Daniel almost lost his footing. The mother stumbled. Daniel caught her arm before she fell. "We're close," he shouted, "just a little more." But the scanner began blinking red. The signal was weak. They were losing direction. Daniel narrowed his eyes through the snow. And then, a faint shape appeared in the distance. A small metal door sticking out of the snow. "That's it," he shouted. "The bunker." "We made it." They moved quickly, but the door was frozen shut. Ice covered the hinges like solid rock. Daniel dropped the equipment and pushed with all his strength. His muscles strained. His breath fogged instantly. His fingers burned from touching the frozen metal. The mother watched anxiously. Her child's breathing was weakening again. She felt his body growing cold inside the blankets. "Please, hurry," she whispered, her voice breaking. Daniel groaned, pushing harder. His arms trembled. The ice began to crack slowly. "Come on. Open." With a final desperate shove, the door burst inward. A wave of warmer air rushed out, not hot, but enough to save a life. Daniel stepped aside. "Go. Take him inside." The mother hurried in with the child. Daniel followed, closing the door behind them. They were safe from the storm, for now, but the real question remained. Would this bunker keep the child alive long enough? Or was danger still waiting outside? Inside the bunker, the air was warmer but still heavy and old. Dust floated in the dim yellow light. Metal walls hummed softly from ancient heaters that had not been used in years. But to the mother, it felt like stepping into life again. Daniel quickly placed the child on a small metal table covered with thick thermal cloth. The mother stayed beside him, holding his tiny cold hand. The boy's breathing was shallow, almost silent. His lips trembled. His skin cooled again despite the blankets. Daniel adjusted the controls on the emergency heater. Old red lights flickered to life. The machine vibrated. Hot air slowly filled the bunker, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. "We need more heat," Daniel said urgently. He ran to the corner where a backup generator stood covered in frost and dust. He brushed it off and tried to start it. Click. Click, click. Nothing. He frowned and tried again. Harder this time. The machine coughed, groaned, then finally roared to life. Warm air surged out stronger than before. The temperature rose slowly, but the child still didn't move. The mother's heart cracked inside her chest. She leaned closer to her son, whispering softly, "Wake up, little one. Hear me. Stay with me." Daniel watched her for a moment. Something deep in his chest tightened. He knew that pain, the fear of losing someone you love. He felt it years ago, and now he felt it again, but this time he could fight it. His pulse is weak, Daniel said, but it's there. He's fighting. The mother wiped her tears with shaking fingers. Why won't he wake? She whispered. Daniel took a deep breath. The cold hurt him more than I thought, he said, but he's in a safer place now. The warmth will reach him soon. The mother looked at Daniel. There was something different in the way she saw him now. Not only as a rescuer, but as someone who carried his own wounds, someone who understood pain deeply. Suddenly, the child coughed, a small, weak sound, but enough to send shock and relief through the mother's heart. Did you see that? She cried softly. Daniel stepped close and nodded. He's responding. The child's breathing grew a little stronger. Not steady, but alive. Daniel placed additional heat pads around the boy's body. He worked carefully, like the child was made of fragile glass. The mother couldn't stop watching his hands. Hands full of scars, hands that had saved them twice now. Minutes felt like hours. The storm outside continued to pound against the metal walls. But inside the bunker, hope slowly warmed like a fire spreading through a frozen heart. Then, the child moved his fingers. Just a little, but enough for the mother to gasp. His eyes opened, weakly, but they opened. Little one, she whispered, her voice breaking with joy. She touched his cheek gently. The warmth from the heater finally reached him. The boy looked around slowly, confused, tired, scared, but alive. Daniel stepped back a little. He didn't want to overwhelm the child. The boy looked at him with half-open eyes, then reached a small hand toward the human. Barely able to move, but the gesture was clear. The mother watched in surprise as her son whispered, "Warm." "Man," Daniel froze. His heart broke and healed at the same time. It was the first time anyone had called him something so kind since his own daughter. He swallowed hard, kneeling beside the child. "I'm here," he said softly. "You're safe now." The mother's eyes filled again. Not from fear, but from something new, trust. Gratitude, connection. She placed her hand gently over Daniel's, whispering, "You didn't just save him. You saved me too." Daniel didn't speak, but the look in his eyes said everything. He had been alone for too long, hiding in storms, running from memories, and now this fragile alien child had reached him in a way nothing else ever did. But the moment of peace didn't last. A loud metal thud echoed from outside, then another, and another. The bunker walls shook, dust fell from the ceiling. Daniel's head snapped toward the door. "That's not wind," he whispered. "It's something else." The mother held her child close. Fear returned to her eyes. Daniel grabbed a flashlight and stepped toward the steel door. His voice low but steady. "Stay with him. Don't move." He pressed his ear against the door. Another heavy impact shook the metal. A deep growl echoed through the structure. Not human, not weather. Something alive, something following them. Daniel turned back to the mother and whispered two words that froze her blood. "They found us." The bunker shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. The emergency lights flickered. The mother held her child tightly against her chest. Her heartbeat was fast, loud, almost painful. Daniel stood near the steel door. His flashlight pointed at the ground, his breath steady. His eyes full of focus and fear mixed together. Another crash hit the door, this time harder. Bang! Metal bent inward slightly. Something powerful was outside. The mother whispered, "Daniel." "What is it?" He didn't turn around. He was listening carefully, trying to understand the sound. "It's not an animal," he said softly. "And it's not a human either." The mother hugged her child tighter, her voice trembling. "It followed us from the storm, didn't it?" Daniel nodded slowly. "I think so." He stepped back from the door. "It created the storm. It wanted something." Another hit slammed the steel. Dust blew across the room. The child buried his small face in his mother's shoulder, whimpering softly. Daniel grabbed a metal rod from the wall, an old defense tool. Nothing strong, but better than empty hands. "Stay behind me," he said firmly, his voice no longer soft. He was now the soldier he once was. Not the quiet, lonely man they met. The mother hesitated. "Daniel, you can't fight it alone." He looked at her with a sad smile. "I fought storms alone for years," he said. "But this time, I'm fighting for someone." The door bent again. A deep growl rumbled through the metal. Then silence. A long, terrible silence. Daniel held his breath. His hand tightened on the rod. The mother didn't move. Her child's weak breaths were the only sound. Suddenly, crack. The steel snapped open, just a little, enough for freezing wind to rush inside. But then another sound cut through everything. A loud engine. Lights flashed through the crack. Voices shouted, human voices. Daniel's eyes widened. "It's the rescue team." He dropped the metal rod and ran to the door. He pulled with all his strength. The rescue team outside pushed with theirs. Finally, the door burst open. Cold air hit them all, but hope entered with it. 3 humans in heavy rescue gear stepped inside. Their lights bright, their voices strong. "We tracked a storm anomaly. We saw your heat signal. Is everyone alive?" Daniel pointed at the mother and child. "Help them first," he said immediately. The rescuers rushed to the mother. One checked the child's breathing. Another wrapped him in a stronger thermal blanket. A third placed a warm mask over him. "He's critical," the rescuer said, "but he's alive. We can save him." The mother's tears fell freely, not from fear this time, but from relief so strong it made her knees weak. The rescuers looked at Daniel. Recognition filled their eyes. "Daniel, you again? You saved them?" He shrugged lightly, looking away. "I did what anyone should do." The team exchanged looks. They knew not many people would have survived that storm. And even fewer would have risked their own lives to save strangers. They prepared the stretcher, placed the child gently on it. The mother held her son's hand the entire time. Refusing to let go, one rescuer turned to Daniel. "There's room in the transport for the mother and child," he said. "You should come too." Daniel shook his head. "This place, it's my home." He stepped back, keeping distance, as if he didn't belong with them. But the mother stood up, her legs still weak, her child still unconscious beside her, and she looked at Daniel with eyes full of something new. Something deep, something that wasn't just gratitude. "You saved us," she whispered, "and now you want to stay alone again?" Daniel lowered his eyes. "I'm used to it," he said quietly. "Storms, silence. This is my life." The mother stepped closer. She placed her hand on his arm, a small gentle touch, but powerful. "You don't have to fight storms alone anymore," she said softly. Her voice warm, strong. "You gave us life. Let us give you a place beside us." Daniel looked at her, really looked. Not at an alien, not at a stranger, but at someone who understood pain and survival just like him. The child on the stretcher moved his fingers, barely awake, barely whispering. "Warm." "Man," Daniel's heart softened, his breath trembled. He closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them with a quiet smile. "All right," he said softly. "I'll come." The rescuers nodded. The mother smiled through her tears, and Daniel walked beside them. Into the transport, into warmth, into light. The storm outside continued to roar, but it no longer frightened him. Because for the first time in years, he wasn't alone. He wasn't broken wind in an empty land. He was walking toward a new beginning, toward a new family, toward a future he never believed he could have. A human, an alien mother, and her child, survivors bound not by blood, but by courage, kindness, and the second chance that only storms can bring.